Beth, and last week I asked you to send in your questions so that I could make my very first Q&A video. So thank you very much for all your lovely questions, and I'll try and get through as many as I can in today's video. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question I'm going to answer I was asked quite a lot of times in different words, but to sum it up, it was basically, how did you become interested in Japan? There is actually a weirdly specific answer for this, and it is this image right here. So when I was 17, I wasn't really interested in Japan, but I was really interested in fashion, and I was trying to buy a new watch, and I was researching different places I could buy it from, and amongst my searches I came across that image from before, and I reverse Google image searched it because it was the most beautiful watch I'd ever seen, and I found out that it was from a Japanese brand called Liz Lisa. And then I started looking more into Liz Lisa's brand, and I saw that they made some really beautiful clothes, and I looked at related brands and I fell in love with Japanese fashion. So that summer my family decided to go on a family holiday to Japan, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that September, when I started university, I decided to do my open unit in Japanese, and my Japanese teacher was a very nice lady. She suggested that I went to this presentation about working in Japan, and that turned out to be a presentation about the JET program, and I was sold instantly. I knew I wanted to do it. So I got onto the JET program after graduating, and here I am in Japan. So it's actually really weird to think about where I would be in my life if I hadn't seen that image and that hadn't sparked my interest in Japan. But so I also got a few questions about teaching English in Japan and if I had any advice for people who want to do that job too. So my main piece of advice is that if you're not fluent in Japanese, you are going to probably be confused about 90% of the time you're at work. Quite a lot of the time you'll hear the other staff members say your name in a conversation and you'll just have no idea what they're talking about. Are they saying you're doing a terrible job? Who knows? It's very stressful sometimes, and you need to just kind of roll with the punches a little bit. So also, if you've not got a lot of teaching experience, like I didn't really have any teaching experience at all, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes at first. Just little things that you know for next time aren't working so well in the class. So you have to try and not get too weighed down by mistakes and just learn from them and move on to make your future classes better. And also expect some weirdness from the students. The first few weeks that I was working, every time I said anything, the students would all scream, "Bethany sensei, mecha kawaii!" And it's very unnerving because you're trying to teach and they're just shouting, "Beth, you're so cute!" It's like, I want them to take me seriously, but this seems to be like a completely acceptable thing to shout at your teacher. In the UK you'd probably get detention if you did that, but yeah, sometimes the teachers, like the Japanese English teachers that I work with, sometimes they'll go like, "Hey, speak English to Bethany sensei," and they'll be like, "Bethany sensei, you are very beautiful," and it's so embarrassing to be stood in front of a class and they're all yelling that at you. Oh, it's so embarrassing. So my overwhelming emotions at work are like embarrassment and confusion. I'm not really selling the job here. It's a great job. I do feel a real sense of accomplishment when I see these kids who couldn't really speak English that much suddenly chatting to me in English. It's really nice. But I am very confused a lot of the time. Next question. Favorite Japanese snacks and favorite J-pop karaoke song? So first of all, God bless you for asking this question because it meant that I could go out and buy all my favorite snacks. However, when I was waiting for my camera to charge, I kind of ate them all, so gomenasai. My absolute favorite Japanese snack and my new addiction is chahan onigiri. So onigiri are rice balls and chahan is fried rice, so it's like egg fried rice ball. They are absolutely delicious and so addictive. There was a time where I was eating at least one a day and I've kind of whittled it down now, but as you can see, because I couldn't wait to eat it, I have still got a weakness for them. Katie Gratland asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, I hope to stay in Japan for another year, so 2 years total. We'll find out in December if I'm allowed to stay on for another year. But after that, then I hope to go back to the UK and study a master's degree, and then in 5 years time I should be partway through a PhD in some kind of neuropsychology with an aging psychology basis, or researching Alzheimer's or something like that. Hopefully. And also I want a dog. I hope there's a dog there in 5 years. Okay, next I got a question from Tobias, who's going to Japan for the first time, and he's going to Tokyo and Kyoto, and he wants recommendations of the top places to go. And that's where I went when I first went to Japan as well. So in Kyoto, I would recommend going to Kinkakuji, which is the Golden Pavilion. It's this beautiful golden building, and there's a lake in front of it, so there's like a reflection of the building in the water, and it is incredibly beautiful. I'd also recommend going to Fushimi Inari, which is the mountain with all the torii gates, but it's so beautiful again. As for Tokyo, I would really recommend going to Harajuku. That's my favourite place in all of Japan. You could go shopping on Takeshita Dori and get a crepe or one of the giant candy flosses, and you can also go to Meiji Shrine, which is probably the most famous shrine in Japan. In terms of temples, I'd really recommend Asakusa. As well as being a beautiful temple, it's also got a very busy shopping street with a lot of traditional Japanese things that you can buy, and it's very close to Skytree, which I also love, and it's got a Pokemon Center in it. So I hope you have an amazing first time in Japan, by the way. Next, I got asked how I found an apartment in Japan and any advice I have for someone who's going to move to Japan. Just make sure that you've got a lot of savings, and also make sure that you've got a lot of time in temporary accommodation to find somewhere. I mean, I had a really bad experience, but I know a lot of people that it was just smooth sailing, it was no problem at all. I also know people who had worse experiences than me. I know one person had to sleep in their school because they were like literally homeless. So I just hope that it goes well for you. Have you played Pokemon Sun and Moon? I am so triggered by this question. No, I haven't. Not only is the release date later in the UK than Japan, I also have to wait for it to be shipped over, and I missed the delivery, so it can't be re-delivered until Tuesday, so pray for me. So that's all the questions that I'm going to answer today. I hope your question got answered. If you have any more questions for me, leave them in the comments and I will answer them in my next Q&A video. If I make another one, who knows. So thank you very much for your questions, and thank you for watching, and see you next Monday. Bye!